Welcome to the Saudi Stories channel, and we will begin the story. If you like it, you can like and subscribe to the channel. How did Christianity and Judaism part ways? Introduction. Judaism and Christianity are two of the world's three major Abrahamic religions. Despite having thousands of years of shared history and cohabitation across dozens of countries across the globe, these two religions are often seen as rigidly distinct from one another. However, when Christianity was born in the 1st century CE, it was exclusively composed of Jews in Palestine. Yet in the centuries that followed, as the young Christian faith spread across the Greco-Roman world, the Christian community grew apart from its Jewish roots. Before long, the two faiths were perceived by each other and by others as distinct religions. When did this happen, and under what circumstances? In this video, we will attempt to find the answer to this question. In this journey, we will uncover how the Roman Empire influenced the two faiths, how they came to perceive each other, and how they kept in contact with each other. Welcome to our video on how Christianity and Judaism went their separate ways, all while singing the same Song of Songs. The cultural background of the 1st century CE. Before investigating when the early Christian faith diverged from its Jewish roots, we need to understand what both faiths, the cultural background of the 1st century CE looked like in the 1st century CE when Christianity emerged. During this century, the Mediterranean basin was dominated by the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire had two main languages, with Latin predominating in the western half of the empire and Greek predominating throughout the eastern half. Thus, since the majority of Jews in both Palestine and the diaspora lived in the eastern half of the Roman Empire, they were in constant contact with Hellenistic philosophies. When Christianity was born, an incredible array of cultural and religious diversity oozed all over the eastern Mediterranean. From prophets like Apollonius of Tyana teaching a brand of mysticism based on Pythagorean philosophy, to the philosophical teachings of Stoicism and Neoplatonism, there was much religious cross-pollination which influenced the many diverse sects of Judaism and Christianity that existed during this period. In the 1st century CE, Judaism was in its Second Temple period, with the faith being focused around the temple in Jerusalem, in particular the sacrifices and pilgrimages which were held in or to this holy site. However, a variety of streams of Jewish thought emerged in response to Greek and Roman religious influence and political control, as Jewish law and ritual had to adapt to new lifestyles and political systems, as well as varying attitudes to the use of the Second Temple. These included the Pharisees, predecessors of rabbinical Jews who saw less use in the Temple of Jerusalem, as well as the aristocratic Sadducees who preached the temple's importance, the apocalyptic Essenes who lived in communes, and the anti-Roman zealot rebels who saw rebelling and achieving freedom from Roman rule as a priority. The many Jewish sects that existed during this time were explicitly political, revolving as much around theological matters as they did around how to organize one's social life, family structure, and relationship to surrounding non-Jewish ethnic and religious groups. Thus, given that there were so many sects of Judaism influenced by so many Hellenistic philosophies, Christianity, a religion born from Judaism, was also bound to be a very diverse religion at its onset. Indeed, much like its Jewish parent religion, Christianity had divided into many different sects within a century of its inception, with each sect harboring different interpretations of how to define its relationship to Jesus and Jesus' relationship with the divine. To modern Christians, many of these early Christian sects would appear incredibly alien, with very different canons, ways of thinking, and approaches to ritual and cosmology. These developments were taking place in a time of increasing religious diversity in the Roman Empire, as new faiths like Gnosticism and Mithraism grew popular within certain sects of society, coexisting with the existing pantheons of Rome, Greece, Egypt, and Mesopotamia. During this time, Christianity and Judaism were just two among many regional cults that existed throughout the empire. Oftentimes, Roman state policies from this era lumped the two religions together. However, Rome sometimes divided the two religions legally, such as with Emperor Nerva's exemption of Christians from Jewish-specific taxes. This was evidence that the two religious communities had begun diverging enough that the Roman regime, during the turbulent period of religious evolution, both Christianity and Judaism were grappling with their identities in the face of external pressures, ultimately leading to a widening division between the two faiths. Judaism solidified its identity through the establishment of Rabbinic Judaism, which became a cornerstone for Jewish beliefs and practices. Rabbinic Judaism emerged as a response to the destruction of the Second Temple in 70 CE, and it aimed to preserve Jewish tradition and teachings by emphasizing the importance of studying and interpreting the Torah. Rabbis, as learned teachers and spiritual leaders, played a vital role in this new form of Judaism, guiding the community and offering explanations and insights into Jewish law and ethics. On the other hand, Christianity sought legitimacy through various councils and theological formulations. As the Christian community expanded geographically and diversely, it faced the challenge of defining its core beliefs and practices. To address these concerns, church leaders convened in significant ecumenical councils, such as the Council of Nicaea in 325 CE, to address theological controversies and establish doctrinal norms. These councils played a crucial role in shaping Christian theology, resolving disputes, and asserting authority over Christian communities. As time passed, the differences between Christianity and Judaism became more apparent. Christianity experienced a rapid spread across the Roman Empire, which in turn elicited increased hostility from Jewish communities. Church leaders emphasized the divinity of Jesus and rejected the adherence to Jewish law, causing theological debates that further alienated the two faiths. The Christian belief in Jesus as the Messiah and the concept of the Trinity, which posits the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit as three distinct persons within one God, were firmly established among Christians, but strongly opposed by Jewish thought. These theological disagreements were not only matters of abstract doctrines, but had profound implications for religious belief, practice, and identity. In response to the emergence of Christian teachings, rabbinical texts were compiled, including critiques of emerging Christian doctrines, thus providing a Jewish response to claims about Jesus and his role in salvation history. These texts, such as the Talmud and Midrash, engaged in scriptural analysis, legal interpretations, and philosophical discussions to address the theological differences between Christianity and Judaism. For example, they explored the idea of a suffering Messiah, which was contrary to the prevailing Christian belief in a triumphant and resurrected Messiah. Through rigorous intellectual discourse, Jewish scholars sought to reinforce Jewish beliefs and practices while addressing the challenges posed by the growth of Christianity. The tensions between the two faiths had real-world implications, manifested in the dynamics of religious persecution during this period. Christians and Jews often found themselves at odds, facing unique challenges from the Roman authorities. The Romans perceived Christian practices, including their refusal to worship the imperial cult, as a threat to imperial unity, resulting in brutal persecutions. Christians were subjected to various forms of punishment, including imprisonment, torture, and execution, for their refusal to compromise their faith. On the other hand, Jews sometimes experienced marginalization as their relationship with Christians soured. Episodes of violence and discrimination against Jews occurred, fueled by derogatory stereotypes and the notion of collective guilt for the crucifixion of Jesus. In conclusion, the separation between Christianity and Judaism represents a complex interplay of history, theology, and cultural identity. Examining the struggles faced by the early church in incorporating Gentiles, the impact of revolts like the Jewish-Roman Wars, and the evolution of theological discourse clarifies how these two faiths diverged. The legacies of their division continue to influence contemporary interfaith relations and understanding. However, in recent decades, there has been a growing recognition of the need for dialogue, understanding, and cooperation between Christians and Jews. Moving forward, ongoing dialogues about shared histories and values may foster greater cooperation, emphasizing common ground while respecting the distinct beliefs and practices of each tradition. By delving into this intricate past, we gain insights into the nature of religious identity and the possibilities for reconciliation in a pluralistic society. Did you know that Judaism and Christianity, while while sharing roots, represent two distinct faiths with unique teachings and beliefs. Understanding their division helps us appreciate the complexities of religious history. Judaism, which can be traced back to around 2000 BCE with the figure of Abraham, is a faith centered on the covenant between God and the Jewish people. This covenant is seen as a sacred bond, and the Jewish people believe they have a special relationship with God. The teachings of Judaism are primarily found in the Torah, which contains the foundational texts of the faith. These texts emphasize laws, ethics, and rituals that guide the daily lives of Jews. For instance, observance of the Sabbath, dietary laws, and the practice of circumcision are important elements of this faith. One of the fundamental beliefs of Judaism is the belief in a single, indivisible God. This monotheistic belief is at the core of Jewish theology and shapes their worship and relationship with God. Furthermore, Jews have a strong belief in the coming of the Messiah, who is believed to be a future descendant of King David. Despite the long wait for the arrival of the Messiah, Jews continue to anticipate his coming and the fulfillment of the divine promise. Christianity, on the other hand, emerged from within Judaism in the 1st century CE and is based on the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth. Christians believe that Jesus is the long-awaited Messiah, the Son of God, whose life and resurrection offer salvation to humanity. This belief sets Christianity apart from Judaism, as it places Jesus at the center of their faith and allows for a personal relationship with God through him. The teachings and beliefs of Christianity are primarily found in the New Testament, which is added to the Hebrew Bible. The New Testament consists of the 4 Gospels, which recount the life, teachings, and miracles of Jesus, as well as other writings by early Christian leaders. These writings serve as a guide for Christians to understand their faith and the teachings of Jesus. In addition to the New Testament, various creeds and theological interpretations have helped shape Christianity throughout its history. The division between Judaism and Christianity deepened over time due to philosophical and theological differences. For instance, while Judaism prioritizes adherence to law and tradition, Christianity emphasizes faith, grace, and the role of Jesus in achieving salvation. These divergent perspectives create a rich tapestry of beliefs within each faith, but they can also lead to misunderstandings and conflicts between followers. One significant challenge in this division has been the historical persecution of Jews by Christians, which has left a painful and complicated legacy. Throughout history, Jews experienced discriminatory laws, forced conversions, and even violence at the hands of Christians. This dark history has had a profound impact on the relationship between the two faiths and has fueled tensions and prejudices. It is crucial to acknowledge this history and work towards healing and reconciliation. Fortunately, contemporary interfaith dialogue has been instrumental in highlighting the importance of respect and mutual understanding between Judaism and Christianity. Many Jewish and Christian communities are now actively involved in efforts to bridge these divides and foster cooperation. They recognize the shared ethical foundations both faiths hold, such as the importance of justice, compassion, and the pursuit of a better world. At the same time, they honor and appreciate their differences, recognizing that diversity enriches our religious landscape. Real-world applications of this understanding can be seen in social initiatives aimed at fostering coexistence and harmony. Educational programs promoting religious literacy and interfaith dialogue play a vital role in preparing younger generations to approach these faiths with curiosity and respect. By learning about the teachings, rituals, and histories of Judaism and Christianity, individuals can gain a deeper understanding of their own faith and that of others. This understanding can ultimately contribute to a more tolerant and inclusive society. In conclusion, exploring the division of Judaism and Christianity reveals both profound similarities and significant differences. This knowledge encourages us to appreciate the richness of each faith while striving for understanding and unity in our communities. Whether you practice either faith or simply wish to learn, this exploration is relevant and essential in our interconnected world. Embracing diversity and fostering dialogue between religious traditions is a necessary step towards building a more harmonious and accepting society. The aforementioned comments by John Chrysostom also suggest that some Jewish-Christian hybridization continued even as late as this period. However, it seems that Jewish Christians were mostly extinct as a community distinct from both their siblings by this period. The following centuries show that the divisions were finalized, despite debates and discussions between the two faiths, for they now saw themselves as separate from each other. By the 6th and 7th century, another Abrahamic sibling had appeared, Islam. Due to Christianity's role in perpetuating anti-Semitic sentiments against Jews, the coming of Islam was a relief for many communities in the Near East. The Islamic conquests took control of the Near East and caused social changes, but it is obvious from how the notion of the people of the book who were afforded certain rights due to common Abrahamic origins, or Ahl al-Kitab, developed that Jews and Christians were their own separate groups by that time. These distinctions would continue to grow as both faiths continued their odysseys through history. Conclusion. And so it was that Jewish and Christian communities were split up fully, the former in distinct communities shining like diamonds on the world map, the latter like fields of flowers spreading like a sea over the planet's surface. Within the larger Abrahamic family, both Christianity and Judaism shine alongside their siblings like Islam, the Azali and Baha'i faiths, Samaritanism, Mandaism, and Rastafarianism, all rife with intellectual vibrancy and rich histories which spring from the same intellectual water springs of Jerusalem. This commonality is perhaps best described by some of the oldest sacred and erotic poetry, the Song of Songs attributed to Solomon, in which Christians and Jews exclaim, "Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. For love is as strong as death, its jealousy unyielding as the grave. It burns like blazing fire, like a mighty flame." More videos on religious history are on the way. To ensure you don't miss that, make sure you are subscribed and have pressed the bell button. To ensure you don't miss it, subscribe and press the bell button. Recently we have started one. Goodbye, my dear friends.